I want to jump over to Alex here, who specifically really likes this idea of open economy. And something I feel like I see many nations doing is this idea of taking this Genesis NFT and spreading the value across the ecosystem, whether it's through your two tokens, the land. I think this is a great way to lower barrier entry, also give a lot of mechanics you can just adjust if there's maybe the land's too powerful, you have other things and ways to create friction. I'll let you take this away. What's the idea behind having multiple of these digital assets in the ecosystem? Does this solve the problem of speculation, kind of move it around, give you different variables to play with?
You mean having multiple different types of NFTs?
Yeah, so you guys have, for example, you guys will have your Gen 1. You'll also have so you had the first ones. You'll have a Season 1, Season 2, also the land, and then your two tokens. What is the purpose of having like all these different aspects of the economy?
I mean, this is sort of the game that we're making. And the rationale for having two tokens is that's what's needed to sort of power this in-game economy that we're building. And we have the concept of land. It's natural that land has buildings, right? So buildings must have utility. We have characters. It's natural that the characters have armor or costumes. Like we have guns, so guns are NFTs. We're going to have a lot of different types of NFTs. And I think the thing is, like, NFTs are just in-game items, right? There's no difference, except now these NFTs are innately tradable. Like peer-to-peer marketplaces like inherently exist in our game. And that's the way that we've designed it. And the economy that we've designed like empowers that peer-to-peer trading. It doesn't try to dissuade or even ban it, which is the thing that's most common in free-to-play games. So yeah, we're sort of leveraging the blockchain as we need it. Like our denomination of tokens is because we need it, and that's the game that we're making.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that I was thinking about is just how the value will spread across all of these different assets. It's not just one collection here that everything's going to run to. There's a bunch of different entry points in the game. So I think that's something unique versus just having maybe a super small 1,000, 2,000 collection. And it's like, look, you need this if you really want to enjoy the game. So that's where I was kind of getting with that.
Yeah, I mean, and then is free to play, right? And at the end of Season 1, there will probably be like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of NFTs generated because every item that a person wins from the battle pass or from season quests is an NFT. And our job is to make sure we have a balance of sources and sinks to make sure there's always utilization for those NFTs. There is incentivization for creating roster breadth, right? It's like if you have all of these quests or all of these battle passes that give out a ton of NFTs, people need to use them, and there needs to be an incentive for people to always collect. So yeah, there's always going to be a reason to keep collecting different seasons worth of NFTs, whether they're characters, buildings, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we'll jump over to you, Max, because I know you have definitely thought about this as well. And I was going to ask one token versus two token, but I know both Mini Nations and Max is going for the two tokens. So maybe you just want to outline your thought on that, because I think your same idea is like making sure that the only way to get onboarded through your ecosystem is not speculation. How are you guys doing that at Nyan Heroes?
Yeah, I mean, just like Alex was saying, I do, and yourself, I think most games coming out these days will, or rather have been focusing on a free-to-play on-ramp. And so essentially that's what we're doing as well. We'll also have a free-to-play on-ramp. So it's not going to be a prerequisite for any new player who's wanting to try out the game and get a taste of what the different game modes are going to be like to actually force them to purchase, an NFT that is, $500 to $1,000. So, I totally agree. I don't think that is sustainable in the long term. And so, yeah, I mean, we have a free-to-play on-ramp as well. And to your point about the dual token system, I think we've kind of discussed this at length. In that, you can't really, I guess, power a game economy with just a single token. I think we've seen that just doesn't really work. And so, yeah, it makes sense to have a dual token economy. We happen to be doing ours a little bit differently to some others, but yeah, I mean, I think we covered that in our interview already.
Yeah, definitely.
I think one thing I will say, the funny thing is, I don't think the dual token setup is probably the optimal setup either. I think in free to play, it also went from there was one premium currency, and then all of a sudden you had a hard currency or a premium currency, and then a soft currency. And then, of course, live ops became a thing. And then all of a sudden, games had, I think the last game I worked on had like 40 different currencies, where each currency was for specific events. And then we had some mechanism on Black Friday where people would dump all of their shit currencies, and we literally called them shit currencies because they had no utilization anymore. So I think like we are at the very beginning, and there's definitely going to be an evolution in how these economies are going to be created, and an evolution in how many tokens there are that need to power the economies. And the funny thing is that in life we have one token, right? And that's the currency that you trade with, like the dollar. But in games, I think we have seen that more than one token is probably the optimal way to run like a virtual economy.
Yeah, and I want to take this.
Go ahead. I was actually going to say, sorry, it's a really good point that you brought up the dual token versus potentially multiple tokens, because we're actually thinking ourselves potentially toying with the idea of having a 3 token system. Because to what Alex mentioned, most games these days have a hard currency and a soft currency. And currently, the utility token in games is only the equivalent of the hard currency in game. And the native token is actually got nothing to do with the game itself at all, for the most part. And so we were thinking of having our native token, our utility token, which is essentially the hard currency, and then a soft currency in the game as well. That's something we're thinking about. Not sure if that's what you guys are thinking as well.
Yeah, we're going to release like an update to our white paper in probably like a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that we've seen with a lot of games that have like the concept of a governance token, to mix like in-game utilization with like long-term holding or governance, is sort of it's 2 very divergent paths. Like in one sense, you want to hold the thing, and in another sense, you need to spend it. So we're thinking about breaking up that governance token into one token that is legitimately governance with holding benefits, and then a separate token that does have more in-game utilization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to take this just a bit further. Like, game economies are nothing new. This is obviously what you're touching on, Alex. What do you think are good examples to look at? I mean, I haven't played too many like crazy vibrant open economies. I have played this one game, Realm of the Mad God. It's like a flash player, bullet hell, permadeath. Yeah. And like that game's great. It has this open economy, except for the fact where you have like these 2 massive events in the game where very early on duping came and it just smashed the economy. And then very late on duping came again and smashed the economy. That's a little bit of a different thing, but what games have done this well? I mean, RuneScape seemed to do fine. These all had these third-party gray markets. What can you take away? Who do you guys think did this well that you're kind of thinking about as you go through and design these things?
As far as open economies, or just
just in general? Yeah, I mean, I guess like
Eve, right? I think everybody
Web3
references like Eve as like a very interesting pseudo IRL type of open economy. And the funny thing is, it's still closed, right? There's so much more they can do to open it up. But I think when we talk about like Web3, there's a lot of references to RuneScape, to Eve, to World of Warcraft. Like Guild Wars also had a massive like gray market economy that existed outside the game. But still, like we haven't really seen a lot of truly open economies. So a lot of the examples we're looking towards when we design things are like real world economies, right? It's like Eve was famous for bringing in, I think it was like the economics head of Greece or something like that, to go and try to figure out how to make the Eve economy work. And I think that's probably a good strategy, because the types of economies that we're creating right now are probably more similar to IRL economies than to pre-existing like free-to-play closed economies.